It's now my honor to invite Miss Elizabeth Sosseh Sisay-Banya, accountant and company director, to deliver her statement as the diaspora keynote speaker for SNF4. My friend Sosseh, over to you.
Thank you, Nana. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, Dr. Aissatou Touré, Her Excellency, the Swiss Ambassador to the Gambia, Dr. Marion Krupski, Chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, Mr. Ali Momanjai, Professor Jibril Fall, Chair of MSDG, dignitaries, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Gambians. The NDP recognizes the Gambian diaspora as an enabler of national development. Therefore, the Gambian diaspora as the 8th region of the Gambia was a welcomed pronouncement. This was further reinforced by the promise of a Gambian Diaspora Directorate. Operationalizing these promises will be welcomed. The think tank, the JANE Commission, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, the Constitutional Review Commission, the Security Sector Reform were the bedrock of our transitional agenda. Looking at the first strategic objective on the NDP website, and I quote, 7 regions reached with the sensitization of the SSR, end quote. The SSR being the Security Sector Reform. 1 region is missing, the 8th. In building relationships, real commitment and sincerity is a necessity. The JANE Commission catalogued comprehensive and factual blatant abuse of power and attack on our sovereign wealth and against private individuals as well. The report is available to Gambians at an eye-watering price of $6,000. We would have appreciated a full implementation of the recommendations of the said report. Transitional justice became a buzzword, never again a household phrase, and an announcement of the long-awaited security sector reform was the cherry on the cake. Atrocities that citizens could not voice out or believe during the years of tyranny, and snippets of which could only be heard on online radios, newspapers such as Freedom Newspaper, amongst others, were played out daily for all to hear at the TRRC. The contributions of online newspapers and radios in sensitizing citizens, disseminating information, and holding government to account where possible has been an invaluable service to Gambians and friends of the Gambia. Looking back and moving forward, upon release of the issues document by the CRC, a 10-week program of sensitization and discussions was facilitated by Gambians in the diaspora to ensure full participation. The CRC engaged the Gambian diaspora, visited, and the response was positive. Submissions were made by individuals and groups. The excitement due to active participation in determining the laws that govern us was almost euphoric. The draft constitution and possible birth of a new republic was highly anticipated. There were concerns, there was excitement, and there was noise. Discussions on the draft constitution were rife in the diaspora and online radios. They partnered with Gambia House, the Gambian Diaspora, Article 19, MSDG, and the CRC to provide a forum and discuss the clauses of the draft constitution. Gambians never got the opportunity to decide on one of the key factors that held them under the clutches of tyranny. Aspirations dashed, failed promises, and adjustments to leaving with the 1997 constitution became the new normal. The challenges facing the world are many. However, opportunities are enormous. How can Gambian diaspora partner with government to ensure that the Gambia can leapfrog onto a trail of sustainable economic and social development, that technological advances are tapped, and our challenges in sectors such as energy, health, agriculture, the environment, education, amongst others, are addressed. Deficits registered in the energy sector continue to hamper meaningful development. Environmental pollution and land grabbing for speculative purposes continue to pose real challenges. As we look back at the enthusiasm of all Gambians in 2016, the Gambian diaspora were not just mere spectators post-liberation. Associations such as GDHI and the Gambia Diaspora Club partnered with the Ministry of Health, refurbishing the children's ward, sent containers of medical supplies for hospitals. Still staying with the health sector, individuals and groups took to media platforms on sensitization and advocacy. The emergence of COVID-19 in the diaspora has been a game changer in the way we do business. Gambians took to the media, organized Gambian diaspora doctors and healthcare personnel to sensitize Gambians and reach out to the Ministry of Health to offer their services to ensure that their expertise and experience can be leveraged on. Diaspora organizations and communities rallied around to provide hand sanitizers, masks, food rations for the vulnerable as well. Let us not rest on our laurels. The second wave and a new variant are waging havoc in the West. In the diaspora, working from home and homeschooling became a reality. One wonders what the effect will be to a child in Nyoro, Saringai, or Pakaliba compared to a child with access to a laptop, internet connectivity, and uninterrupted power supply. The ramifications of these inequalities are far from being quantified. Had the Diaspora Directorate at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs been fully operational and accessible, the Gambian diaspora experience and expertise could have been easily leveraged to plug gaps in both public and private sectors in the Gambia. The human capital in country and within the diaspora is enough to socially, economically, technologically, and culturally transform the Gambia into a viable nation. Cooperation between government and its citizens is necessary to ensure sustainable gains continue to be registered. The annual Nordic Gambian Investment Forum was launched in 2018 by the Gambia House in Norway. Work done by organizations such as Signara in partnership with Greenwave to introduce environmentally friendly organic plant-based fertilizers, Treasure Warrior Women, Moro Farms, Fossil Clothing, Ajifanta Bakeries, Global Hands Publishing, and the Mandua Development Hub, amongst others, highlights the entrepreneurial prowess of Gambians. Swift action by Lovett Jallow in Sweden to rescue Gambian domestic workers stranded in the Middle East, and the Gambia Academy set up by Sojabate are commendable. The summer of 2020 will go down in history as one in which some of the dangers faced by the Gambians in the diaspora was beamed across the globe for 8 minutes and 42 seconds. The phrase, "I can't breathe," and "take your knee off our necks," as articulated by Al Sharpton, highlights some of the dangers Gambians face in the diaspora while staying along the narrow paths of the law. Our resilience forces us to stray out into the unknown, to ensure food is on the table for families, friends, and communities. In 2020, despite the harsh economic realities, threats to jobs did not cause a fall in remittances. For the first time, more than 500 million, yes, you had me right, more than $500 million of remittances was registered. Gachengalama, ala baraka, ajarama, una tenki. An increase in well over 73% from 2019 and well over 48% of GDP. These figures exclude the informal corridors. Diaspora remittances bucked the trend amid speculations of donor fatigue. The resilience of Gambians to continue to underwrite the lives of families and friends and communities could not have been clearer. Looking back and moving forward, we celebrate the entrepreneurs who have set up money transfer agencies and have ensured a move from monopolistic tendencies by some players in the market. We are grateful to the Central Bank Gambia, in its engagement and untiring effort to ensure that remittance rates are lowered. While swings in some corridors remain high, we hope 2021 will be a year in which more gains will be registered in terms of rate reduction. Looking back and moving forward, one laments on the lost opportunities for Gambians to invest in the much anticipated diaspora bond. I urge the government of the Gambia to commit to the Gambian diaspora bond. This can be used to leverage capital from the diaspora for funding of private investments post-COVID-19, when the rapid global realignment starts, and hopefully Gambia will be poised to take advantage of the new opportunities. We welcome the move to have all investments done through GAIPA, thus ensuring centralization of services and harnessing the skills required in one focal point. We urge further investment in capacity building and improvement on key indicators for ease of doing business to ensure GAIPA becomes an efficient gateway for investments in the Gambia. Looking back and moving forward, we celebrate the setting up of the National Human Rights Commission and welcome the establishment of oversight agencies that help to safeguard our democracy and newfound freedom. Defining good governance is the easy part any country has to deal with. Operationalizing the concept where discipline is required to walk the tightrope is what remains difficult. As we jealously guard our budding democracy and our freedoms, let's realize that our rights are joined to the hip with the accompanying responsibilities. The rich cultures of our shores have been exported to our host nations. The annual Senegambia Carnival organized by Yaram Arts, ALD commemorations and other social events organized by Ajera in the USA, Sangmari and Gamo celebrations, school reunions, Gambian Cultural Week in Sweden, honoring of legends in sport and music in England, USA, and Norway, to name a few of the events that ensures the Gambian diaspora keeps in touch with its culture and the arts. An MOU has been signed between the Gambian National Arts Council, Gambia House, and a network of musicians based in the Nordics. Looking back and moving forward, no sooner had the new government settled in, Gambians in the diaspora set up a petition to ensure the IEC fulfills a legal obligation to extend the franchise to all Gambians. This was after a failed attempt in 2001 by the MSDG Movement for the Restoration of Democracy, Gambia, to ensure that the franchise was extended. We were promised diaspora voting. Unfortunately, the registration that was scheduled for some time this year has now been postponed. I urge all Gambians, both at home and in the diaspora, to register and exercise our franchise. I urge all political parties to work with the IEC to ensure that the repressive laws discriminating against Gambians in the diaspora from holding executive positions in their parties are repealed. Diaspora representation at the level of the National Assembly has now got to become a reality. A fully functioning Gambian Diaspora Directorate could have been the conduit through which the IEC and institutions such as GAIPA extend their partnership with the diaspora. The lack of meaningful relationship between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Gambian diaspora it seeks to represent is most unfortunate. Looking back and moving forward, as we march towards nation building, this gives an opportunity for Gambia and her children to sincerely take stock, not through rose-tinted spectacles, but with the sincerity that it deserves. The success of a nation does not rest with an individual, a tribe, a region, or a religious group. A nation is developed when there is unity of purpose, with a clear conscience, ensuring that the youths who comprise over 40% of our population are front, center, and back of all decisions. The hemorrhaging of youths as a result of the backway syndrome and the loss of lives in the Mediterranean Sea is enough to have triggered our collective conscience. This calls for an urgent refocus In the true words of Theodore Roosevelt, and I quote, "This country will not be a good place for any of us to live in unless we make it a good place for all of us to live in." Looking back and moving forward, the 2016 elections will go down in the annals of history as spelling out what can be achieved when citizens are organized and determined. Once again, we as Gambians globally will be called on to decide our fate in December 2021. Whom we want to subcontract our development agenda to, and by doing so, without ambiguity, spell out the type of country that we want. That decision rests solely with us. I urge all not to take it lightly. Let's spell out what we want. Let's also spell out what we do not want, and identify whom we hand over the reins of our development agenda to. I thank the MSDG for giving me the opportunity to represent the diaspora. And to my fellow diasporans, I thank you for all the efforts that you're making in ensuring your country is a viable nation. I thank